My Carrier Bryant AC is saying system malfunction. Call technician. Fault codes say low thermal cutout and high thermal cutout, multiple instances of each.
Hello, welcome to Just Answer. If the system is over 3 to 5 years old, the condenser coil on the outside unit is most likely clogged with dirt even if it looks clean. You can buy the foaming cleaner at Home Depot or Lowe's or any large hardware store. Buy several cans, and repeat the cleaning process at least twice. Do it with the power turned off to the unit. Here is a video on the topic. https://www.youtube.com/watch V equals VDTT6HSPV4S. We are on the honor system here. It is how I earn a living, and does not increase your charges. If you need anything else, just let me know. You can continue asking follow-up questions at no additional cost. That is step number 1, we can go from there as needed.
Thanks. I will get some of this cleaner tomorrow and give it a shot. I have an electric pressure washer. Should I use that on the coil after the foam? It's not a super powerful pressure washer, but I'm not sure how delicate the coils are. I'd keep away from the fan, obviously. I tried to leave a rating, but it is grayed out and won't let me. Is there something I need to do to get it to work?
Hello again, thanks for your consideration. I forgot to put the ratings box up. Here it is.
I did 2 cleanings with the foaming cleaner, used about 3.5 cans total and rinsed well with jet stream from my hose, as shown in the video. I let the unit dry for an hour and then flipped the circuit breakers back on to restart it. Within about 30 minutes I get the system malfunction. Call technician. Error. Fault code say high thermal cutout, 32 events, and high comp cutout, 10 events. Is there something else we can try? I did 2 cleanings with the foaming cleaner, used about 3.5 cans total and rinsed well after each cleaning with a jet stream from my hose, as shown in the video you provided. I let the unit dry for an hour and then flipped the circuit breakers back on to restart it. Within about 30 minutes I get the system malfunction. Call technician. Error. Fault code say high thermal cutout, 32 events, and high comp cutout, 10 events. Is there something else we can try?
Hello again, thanks for the superb work on the cleaning. That is always a first step in these cases. There is a high temperature cutout switch of sensor malfunctioning. Tell me a lot about your skill sets with electrical control systems and working with high voltages appliances. I can coach you on a complete diagnosis if you are capable in those areas. So far I suspect a bad printed circuit board, $500 or for the replacement, or if we are lucky a bad sensor. Or I can locate a few well-rated service companies in your area. Tell me which direction you are from the center of the nearest town. In that case, we can go from there.
I worked my way through college as an apprentice electrician, commercial electric, and then worked on aircraft electronics, avionics, for years. I have a multimeter handy as well as basic hand tools. I feel comfortable doing more troubleshooting. I opened up the outdoor unit after my last message and had a look around. There was an amber fault light flashing on the circuit board, but otherwise everything looked pretty good, clean and dry with no loose connections. I cleaned out a few dead spiders. The circuit board is HK38YA001, it also has part number KEPA13043901.
Hello again, if you can send me a clear, well-focused, close-up photo of the wiring diagram that shows the printed circuit board flashing the GHD. I can help you by marking it up with troubleshooting instructions. I need a picture of the printed circuit board and the surrounding area as well. Use the Attach Files link at bottom left of your reply box to attach those. Tell me please if the outside unit runs in the winter for heating as well as in the summer for cooling or not. We can go from there.
The unit does run in the winter to provide heat, and there are backup electric heating coils in the indoor air handler as well. We also have an EEC which has been recently cleaned. I wasn't able to get the Add Files link to work, so I put some photos up on Dropbox for you. They show the schematic, wiring diagram, component arrangement diagram, the actual components, the circuit board, and an overall side view. Note, since I last restarted everything, the AC has been running, both low speed and high speed, for a few hours now. Over the past few days it would alternate between running and showing the system malfunction, call technician message, so I don't have much confidence that it will continue to run. The images, https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p10202551. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102052. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102054. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102055. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102060. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102063. JPeng, thanks for hanging in there with me, I appreciate it. Alas, the system has failed again, shortly before 6 p.m. Pacific Time. The faults this time are, from 5:51 p.m., high comp cutout, 11 events, active, high thermal cutout, 35 events, active from 2:33 p.m., range error, 7 events.
Hello again, sorry I was out for a while. http://screencast.com/t/unwdbvkj. If the jumper shown does not work, run a heat stress test on the printed circuit card. Use a hairdryer to slowly and gently warm the card to 120 F, warm to the touch but not hot and not over 140 F. If you get any change in behavior, that means the card is bad. A micro crack is opened in the printed circuit at a solder joint, or inside its CPU in that case. Or a short circuit has developed as the card expanded when you heated it. Constant expansion and contraction as these electronics heat and during their duty cycles over the years is what wears these cards out. It is also a good idea to replug all of the connections in the unit. That burnishes any oxidized terminal connections and will sometimes solve the problem, especially at the printed circuit card and in any sensor Molex connectors. Do that with the power off to the unit, of course. These cards are also damaged by electrical spikes caused by power failures and lightning. These high voltage spikes can literally explode the fine wire connections inside the chip. There is also a shunt type device, often printed onto the card, that allows a high voltage spike to arc across the ground harmlessly. Some of these can wear out after a few times and allow the high voltage spike into the rest of the card and the CPU microcircuits. The high-end printed circuit cards use a large capacitor-like device, or several in parallel, to capture and release such surges. These do not wear out. Let me know how that goes.
Thanks so much for taking some time to respond on Independence Day. I truly appreciate it. I have jumpered the HPS connector as shown, and so far the unit has been running okay. I'll have to see it run for some time before I feel confident that it is truly making a difference. How long can I run the unit like this? Several hours or even a day or more. If it fails again, I'll do the heat test and replug all of the connections as advised.
Hello again. This is a bit like ignoring the overheat indicator on your car when it shows that the engine is overheating when you know by all other indicators that it is not overheating. As long as the unit runs properly, it will continue to do so with the high pressure cutout switch bypassed. But there is a risk, of course, that the system will overheat and not have that protection. Since you have already cleaned the coil, the risk is lower than normal, but you still run the risk that the condenser fan motor is going off intermittently and causing the high pressure cutout switch to trip. There is not much more I can say about it. Follow the wires to the switch and send me a photo of it. I will respond with some options.
Thanks for that explanation. We have to go out for an event for a while, so I will turn the system off before we go just to be safe. I'll turn it back on when we get back and see if it continues to run. Below are some links to photos of the unit. It was tough to get all of the part numbers in one image. https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102064. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102067. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102070. jpg https://dl.dropboxusercontent.com/u/22850735/p102073. JPEG. Thanks again.
Hello again. A serviceman will have to remove the refrigerant from the system to fit a new pressure switch. Cost in $400+ range. Or you can fit a new pressure switch that attaches to your unit's high pressure line service port. http://screencast.com/t/kacmby. That will take some coaching. I will submit an additional service offer for that. And I need a close-up picture of the service valves on the unit that fit about an inch from the unit where the copper tubes from inside the house attach. You can do that yourself.
I think we might be back to the theory that the circuit board has a problem. The AC unit ran flawlessly for about 2 hours before we left for our event. I turned the AC off via the wall thermostat while we were gone and then turned it back on after we arrived back home. It ran for 1.5 hours or so, but the indoor temperature still rose. The condensation pump didn't run and had pretty much no water in its reservoir. Normally it would have run by then or been full. It didn't shut down the outdoor unit or show the system malfunction, call technician message, which is new. I looked at the recent faults in the service menu and it showed VC startup bolts, 7 events, active, with a timestamp roughly 20 minutes after I started the AC, and high thermal cutout, 37 events, with a timestamp roughly around the time I started the unit, or maybe a few minutes later. I forgot to make note of the time I restarted the AC. I didn't want to cause any problems or potentially damage anything, so I turned the AC back off. I also verified that the jumper is still in place. When it's cool in the morning, I'll run the heat stress test and see if I can learn anything. I noticed that the last 2 times it failed was during the hottest part of the day. I called my dealer for a service appointment a few days ago, but they are running 3 weeks behind currently. If I can verify, or at least feel fairly confident, that the PC board is having problems, I'll try to get one on my own. If it's not the problem, I see that they are selling on eBay for $350, so I can recover much of my spend if I need to. I live in Seattle, Washington, zip code 98146. By any chance, do you happen to know of a vendor in my area who could sell me a board on Monday? The dealer who installed my system is Washington Energy Services. I'll try them, but I don't expect that they will be super helpful. They were pretty unenthusiastic about making a service appointment even though I'm on their yearly maintenance membership plan. Thanks again for helping me work through this. I truly appreciate your time and efforts. BTW, I accepted your extended service offer. I feel like you've more than earned the original amount, especially helping out so much on a holiday, and my options to leave a gratuity were pretty meager.
Thanks. It is not likely that anyone besides a Carrier or Bryant dealer will have a new printed circuit card in stock since they change so frequently each year and between models. You can get a new card for less money online within a day or so, and sometimes for 30 to 50% less. All they need is the unit model number, and less commonly all of the numbers on the printed circuit card and a photo of card. http://shortyschwarz.com/index.php main_page equals index and amp cpath equals 129 http://www.allpartsheeting.com/contact.html Call each of these companies to get the board if it turns out you need one. Next, stress test the printed circuit card. Use a hairdryer to slowly and gently warm the card to 120 F, warm to the touch but not hot and not over 140 F. If you get any change in behavior, that means the card is bad. A micro crack has opened in the printed circuit at a solder joint, or inside its CPU in that case. Or a short circuit has developed as the card expanded when you heated it. Constant expansion and contraction as these electronics heat and during their duty cycles over the years is what wears these cards out. It is also a good idea to replug all of the connections in the unit. That burnishes any oxidized terminal connections and will sometimes solve the problem, especially at the printed circuit card and in any sensor Molex connectors. Do that with the power off to the unit, of course. These cards are also damaged by electrical spikes caused by power failures and lightning. These high voltage spikes can literally explode the fine and number 39, wire and number 39, connections inside the chip. There is also a shunt type device, often printed onto the card, that allows a high voltage spike to arc across the ground harmlessly. Some of these can wear out after a few times and allow the high voltage spike into the rest of the card and the CPU microcircuits. The high-end printed circuit cards use a large capacitor-like device, or several in parallel, to capture and release such surges. These do not wear out. We can go from there. http://shortyschwarz.com/index.php main_page equals index and amp cpath equals 129 http://www.allpartsheeting.com/contact.nightly created links for you if it turns out you need a new PCB. You can also replug all of the connections on the PCB to burnish any corrosion or oxide from the connectors, and look on the back side of the card. If you see any burnt spots, the card is bad for sure.
I replugged all of the connections to the board this morning and removed it for inspection. I didn't see any obvious signs of heating/scorching, damage, cold solder joints, etc. I replaced the board, powered up the unit and put it into AC mode. Once the compressor was running, I hit it with a hair dryer on low, gently warming it. The compressor shut off within about 20 seconds and a low thermal cutout error appeared shortly after. The unit has since not really run for much time today, throwing mostly low and high thermal cutout errors. I ordered a new board online with overnight shipping. I hope to have it here on Tuesday. Fingers crossed that this will fix the problem.
Hello again. It sounds like you are the right track. The cold solder joints I'm referring to are not visible to human eye. There are similar bad connections due to cracks in some of the microcircuit connections and wire just a few atoms of gold or silver wide. Let me know how it goes if you wish, I will appreciate it.
Hi Phil, sad day. The new PC board showed up today. I took out the old one and put this in place. The system started up okay, but when I set it to cool mode I got a low thermal cutout error within a few minutes. I'm not really sure what to check or try next. Any ideas? I tried cycling power and had the same result, both high and low thermal cutout errors. Do you think there is a power supply somewhere that could be failing? I've seen other computer systems do weird things, have multiple errors, due to bad power supply before.
Hello again, that is quite a conundrum. The control power source is a 24-volt ACT transformer, with a 120-vac primary. These in my experience do not fail with low or sporadic output, but it is certainly worth a check in this very unusual circumstance. Next most likely is a fraying wire connection in one of the temperature or pressure sensors that plugs into the printed circuit card. However, just one bad connector should not cause these multiple error messages. That points us to one of the gang connector plugs with oxidized or corroded pin connectors. Please ignore the request for a rating, you have already done that.
Also, it's cooler today so there isn't as much demand for cooling. Still, it's somewhat encouraging as this is the longest it has run for many days now without errors.
Look that over, let me know what you can discover, we can go from there.
Hi Phil, quick update for you. I got busy with clients this week, so it was a little hard to find all the time I wanted. Yesterday I did a more thorough inspection of the components in the outdoor unit and found that the coil temp sensor wasn't well attached to the coil. It wasn't well seated in its clip, the clip wasn't well attached to the copper line, and the line was a little dirty and a little corroded. I cleaned the line with steel wool, reseated the sensor in the clip and then properly clipped it to the coil. It didn't seem to make much difference. I ran the unit again and got some thermal cutout errors. I went around the house and full opened all of the registers to ensure max airflow. This is in the spirit of just trying stuff at this point. The system ran for a little while and then shut down with errors again. Today I went back into the outdoor unit, with power off, and took every connector off of every component, every capacitor, relay, whatever. If I could reseat a connector I went for it, if it was a screw connector I loosened and retightened it including the ground. I also took the insulated cover off of the compressor, cleaned out a few spider webs, and reseated its connector as well. I took my shop vac to the handful of leaves still in the bottom of the unit, double-checked everything, and then put the thermal cover back on the compressor and then buttoned the unit back up. Since then it has run off and on for a few hours at a time without any issues or errors. Exclamation mark. I had to run out of the house again, so I didn't try to set the thermostat lower to see how it would handle that. Also, it's cooler today so there isn't as much demand for cooling. Still, it's somewhat encouraging as this is the longest it has run for many days now without errors. Tomorrow will be cool again, so I'll set the thermostat to a lower temp and see if it can hold that throughout the day. I'll let you know how it goes.
Good work. You corrected a bad connection at one of the plug connections you reconnected. Stay in touch. Please ignore the request for a rating. It's a glitch in JAW software that will not let me turn the rating request off.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.